Out now from Eureka Entertainment is this. I swear we are in a golden age of Hong Kong movies getting excellent releases. This is Triple Threat, 3 films with Sammo Hung. I've been a fan of Sammo Hung since the 90s when I discovered Hong Kong movies via Jackie Chan, and then Sammo Hung, and then Yuen Biao, and Jet Li, and all those other people. Sammo Hung is outstanding. Casual Americans might know him from the short-lived martial law TV show that he had in the 90s or early 2000s on CBS, which was a super fun show until they tried to turn it into a ripoff of Rush Hour. So this is a 3-disc Blu-ray set featuring 3 films, 3 very different films. I just finished this set last night, so it's fresh in my head, and I will give you all of the gory details, blow by blow, as it were. Sammo Hung, if you don't know him, is a rotund Hong Kong martial artist who went to the same Peking opera school as Jackie Chan and Yuen Biao as a child, where they were taught acrobatics and martial arts fighting styles and acting and singing and all that kind of stuff. And they went on to be just like the superstars of Hong Kong action cinema in the 70s. Sammo Hung can be viewed in Enter the Dragon at one point with Bruce Lee, and just still works, but worked very consistently from the 70s up into the early mid-2000s. So mid-2000s sounds weird because mid-2000s technically is 2,500. So disc 1, we're going to go disc by disc, and I'm going to say my thoughts and basically what these things are about. First film on the set is like a traditional, when you think of a kung fu movie, it's kind of a traditional, honestly not terribly exceptional kung fu movie from 1974 called The Manchu Boxer. It is the Hong Kong theatrical cut that runs 86 minutes. There are international cuts of a couple of these in the 3rd disc, and I'll talk about that when I get there. Directed by Wu Ma, with Sammo Hung in really a pretty small role. Biao Ho and Kai Bom Kim with the martial arts director for this was Sammo Hung. So Sammo Hung is a very cool, very exciting, very clever and funny, oftentimes martial arts action choreography style. So if you see he's in this movie, and when you see that he's barely in this movie, you're like, oh, Sammo's not really in it. But he brings his personality to the fight scenes, which are very good. And this is available in original Mandarin mono or English dubbed mono. And the basic story is that a young martial artist, right as the film opens, squares off against a guy and some baddies by the seashore, as you do. And this is set in the olden times, by the way. When I say classic kung fu, it's like the robes and earlier part of the 1900s. He squares off against a bad guy, kills him. His father is very disappointed, basically says, "You must promise me you will never fight again. This is horrible. You've brought shame to the family. Get out and never fight again." So I'm not going to tell you the whole story. So our hero is wandering through this is an interesting thing about this too. I have not seen a tremendous number of martial arts films that are set in the winter or the mountains where it's snowy. This is one of them. So it's interesting to see our banished hero wandering through a snowy wilderness, comes across an old guy, has a little toe-to-toe with him. The old guy dies. They end on good terms. The old guy dies and basically says, please go back to my family and tell them, I've passed away and I love them, and repay a debt for me, or something like that. I'm a little fuzzy on the story. And so our hero, I'm not going to tell you the whole story. Our hero goes to this family, finds them, befriends them, says, I saw your father. He's no longer with us. He was a wonderful man, and he loves you, and blah, blah, blah. And I think our hero makes up. And he owes you, or I owe you a debt. I owe him a debt, and I have to pay you. So he basically gets local employment to try to raise money to give to this family, and there's a little bit of romance with him and the daughter. And simultaneously, here's where Sammo comes in. Simultaneously, there is a local bad guy who sees himself as a superior martial artist, but he hires a couple thugs, one of whom is Sammo Hung, to go and basically kill everybody that they can who's on their way to this, like, 7 villages or whatever, this regional martial arts competition that's going to show everybody who the best martial artist is. He's like, I know I'm the best, and to make sure everybody else knows that, you need to kill everybody who's good, so I can just fight the guys who aren't so good. So eventually our hero gets pulled into that, despite promising not to fight, due to some really bad things that happen to those around him. And ultimately it becomes our hero versus the villain. And maybe I did just tell you the whole story. I'm very sorry about that. There's a lot of other stuff that happens in this movie, fighting and such. So it's very interesting. It's not great. It's like a standard martial arts movie. There's a lot of shots that are out of focus for some reason, because they do what I call the kung fu zoom. and they basically have their focus set for where the camera is going to go. And so that's just, so the transfer is good on this. It looks good. It doesn't look great, but it looks very good. It looks better than all the DVDs and tapes and things we used to have to contend with in terms of color and sharpness and all that. It's just, unfortunately, there are shots that are a fault of the original cinematography out of focus. So that's disc one. Also on disc one is a very different film from 1988 called Paper Marriage. It's 92 minutes long. It is directed by Alfred Cheung, and this one does star Sammo Hung as a guy who is living in Canada. I'm sorry, he's living in the United States, because when he goes into this is what always kills me about movies in the 80s that were shot overseas. To prove that they live in the United States, at some point in the movie, they need to go into somebody's office where there's a flag and a picture of Reagan on the wall. So it's the United States, and it's really Canada. And he is in debt to some people, and he's looking for a way to raise money. He could go back to do underground kickboxing tournaments because he's very good with a friend of his who runs a kickboxing school, but he doesn't really want to go back that way. So he decides to hook up with a paper marriage, sham marriage, green card marriage, if you will, with Maggie Cheung, who is a Hong Kong person who's coming to live and be with her beloved who's in Canada. But for some reason, her beloved tells her, no, you have to, I don't have enough money to marry you. And even though I have my own apartment, I need you. I'm not going to tell you the whole story, by the way. I have to have you marry somebody else, and they're going to give you a bunch of money. And then you're going to give me that money. And then after a certain amount of time, you'll divorce, and then we can be together. It doesn't make a lot of sense to me either. Anyway, they do that. The boyfriend scoots, and then it is basically Sammo and Maggie Cheung having to be a mismatched couple who don't really like each other at all. They both stress, we're just doing this for the money. We're both just doing this for the money. And the debt collectors keep showing up. So eventually, I guess I'm going to tell you the whole story on some of these. I'm not going to say much about what goes on. It's a lot of comedy. It's a Hong Kong movie in the 80s, so it's very goofy comedy at times, sometimes a little gross. But it's a very upbeat, fun movie. This is the kind of film that I could see being a remake of a U.S. or French farce, or having been remade into a U.S. or French farce. Very light. Not a lot of martial arts throughout this, but it does what I refer to as a square-up reel. In the prime period of Hong Kong cinema, which was mid-80s to, let's say, late 90s, for the biggies, like Sammo or Yuen or Jackie Chan, no matter what the movie was, dependably, the last 10 minutes would be a mind-blowing action set piece. This movie has that. This movie's last 10 minutes are set in a giant shopping mall that has like an indoor pool and full-size pirate ship in it and water slides, and they all get utilized in action. So it's fun. So not a great movie, I don't think. And this is, again, this set, I'm a huge fan of these people. I'm a huge fan of Hong Kong movies. I was just voraciously intaking these films for a decade or two, and I've never heard of any of these. So I'd never heard of Paper Marriage, but it's fun. If you like Sammo in a non-traditional role, think Heart of the Dragon, which was very non-traditional for him. It's more of a comedy, but they do get the action in there. If you like Maggie Cheung, and who doesn't, who's a fan of Hong Kong cinema, she's cute, she's fun, she's funny in this, she's really good in this, and it's worth a look. You know, it's worth seeking out. It's not one of the classics, but if you want to see a movie, it's like sometimes video companies will put out movies from decades past that have really big stars in it, and you're like, how come I never heard of this? And usually you watch it and you're like, that's why I've never heard of this. This is one of those, but on the upper level. So it's not bad. So excuse me. The extras on disc one. There's a commentary for Manchu Boxer with everybody's favorite Frank Zheng and Michael Worth, who are Hong Kong cinema experts. Michael Worth's a martial artist. Michael Worth is a filmmaker of his own right. And also they were producers of the Bruceploitation documentary Enter the Clones of Bruce, which is unbelievably excellent. And Paper Marriage commentary by Arnie Venema and Dominique Ting. And both of these are the people who have lived and worked in Hong Kong and know. They really lay down the knowledge on cultural things in the film that somebody from here might not know, for the history of these people, for the people in terms of the actors and the technical crew, what they were doing around that time. They're like really good commentary. So if you see any of these people's names on a commentary for a movie that you're interested in, even if it's a movie you've watched and you're like, their commentaries are very entertaining and very insightful. So I'm always excited when they're on the commentaries. You get Happily Ever After. It's an interview with Paper Marriage director Alfred Cheung. That's 21 minutes. You get the 4-minute Manchu Boxer trailer, but it's under the title Invincible Fist. If you compare this, it's a good transfer of this trailer, but if you compare it to what the Manchu Boxer feature looks like, you can really appreciate how good the transfer is on this new version of Manchu Boxer. And then you get the Paper Marriage trailer that's 3.5 minutes. Disc 2 is just one movie. Disc 2 is the movie that I would say makes this whole set worthwhile. I had watched the first 2 movies and I'm like, those were cool to see. I'm probably not going to keep this set. I got 30 minutes or so into Shanghai, Shanghai from 1990, 88 minutes, directed by Teddy Robin Kwan, with Sammo Hung, Yuen Biao, and Anita Mui, and action director Yuen. And I was like, I'm keeping this set. This is fantastic. How have I never heard of this movie? This was apparently like a Lunar New Year film. And those films traditionally in Hong Kong are big budget, glamorous, glossy, all-star, general audience movies. And boy, is this fun. Again, in this one, Sammo is not the main star. He actually plays a villain in this film. And the basic story, available in original Cantonese mono and English dubbed mono. So all of these films, you can either hear the English dub or the original language with the subtitles, however you prefer. Yuen Biao is a country boy who comes to a city to get work or to meet up with his brother, who is a prominent member of the local military, who is having to deal with revolutionaries in Shanghai. And there's a story about revolutionaries and a missing American $5 million that was supposed to pay for guns or things that were going to aid in the revolution. And so there's a couple plots going on here. Anita Mui plays the girlfriend of Yuen Biao's brother, the military guy. And there's some intrigue. This is one where I really am not going to tell you the whole story. There's a lot of intrigue. At one point, Yuen Biao helps out when there is an outdoor acrobatic performance and some bad guys are sent to mess up the acrobats and kidnap them, and he becomes allied with them. So there's a lot of action in this movie. This is the kind of film that I was hoping for in this set. And there's a lot of action in Manchu Boxer, but it's of the traditional kung fu type. There's some really good action in Paper Marriage, but it's really not an action movie. It's really a comedy that has action in it. But Shanghai, Shanghai is a good drama. It's very funny at times, and the action choreography is phenomenal. There is a sequence where Yuen Biao is working in a nightclub, and it's set in the 30s, by the way, early 30s. And actually, I'm watching this and I'm like, this would be a really good double feature with Jackie Chan's. I get choked up when I talk about Jackie Chan. With Jackie Chan's Miracles, or Mr. Canton and Lady Rose, which was a Chinese gangster, Hong Kong gangster 30s movie. Apparently, this used a lot of the sets from that. These are all Golden Harvest movies, by the way. So they were shot at the sadly no longer existing Golden Harvest Studios. So they did utilize, I learned this from the commentary by Frank Jeng, they utilized some of the sets that were still standing from Project A2 and from Miracles and things like that. So they have a great, expensive look. It's a gorgeous film to look at. The lighting is great. The camera work is great. The editing is great. Performances are great. The score is really classy. And Sammo basically plays a local mob boss that Yuen Biao winds up working for. Anita Mui finds out about this. The brother of this, I say army soldier, they're more or less like the local police that work in conjunction with the British police who were in control of Shanghai at the time. And Anita Mui goes to the club to confront Yuen Biao. Why are you working for a gangster? And basically she tries, the best way to describe it is kung fu ballroom dancing. That's all I'm going to say. It's phenomenal. Like literally that scene happened and I'm like, okay, I'm keeping this. Like I can't get rid of this. I need to see this again. I need to show people this. This is great. And there's also, again, an incredibly strong last 10 minutes. Anita Mui, if you don't know Anita Mui, if you know Rumble in the Bronx, she played like the shop owner in Rumble in the Bronx. If you've seen Drunken Master 2, or what do they call it here? Legend of the Drunken Master. She plays Jackie Chan's mother, despite being the same age, if not maybe slightly younger. She's in this, and she is amazing. She's sadly no longer with us. She was known as the Hong Kong Madonna. She was a singer, very popular singer, who became an actress. And you wouldn't know that, because honestly, if you want to compare her to Madonna, excellent singer and performer. not so much of an actress. Anita Mui is amazing in this, and when she gets down to doing like martial arts, she's really good. Like, I was giggling and yelping watching the last 10 minutes of this movie. It just gets insane. It's really well produced, and it's a jewel. And how have I never heard of Shanghai, Shanghai until now? Golly gosh. Sammo is, as I said, he is the bad guy. He's really more of a side character in this until the last 10 minutes when he busts out the foo and you can see what this guy can do. And part of the thing with Sammo is always, you don't expect a man who's built the way he is to be able to do what he does, but he does, and he does it really well. So I really cannot recommend Shanghai, Shanghai enough. Extras on this disc are a commentary, again, by Frank Zheng and F.J. DeSanto, which is a great commentary. A trailer that's 3.5 minutes that really shows too much of the plot. I would not recommend watching the trailer first, because you are really getting... Maybe a lot of trailers do this, maybe a lot of Hong Kong trailers do this, but to me, after I've just watched the movie and I watched the trailer, and I'm like, well, there's that, and there's that surprise, and there's that reveal, and there's that end, and wow, we've just seen the whole movie. Disc 3 is the extended international cuts. I didn't watch these in full because I literally had just watched the regular films. From what I can see from scanning the Manchu Boxer, usually the international cuts that are extended, they don't have more action. They're usually just a little more dialogue here and there. The Manchu Boxer is 93 minutes on this version, which originally it was 86, so you get a few more minutes. The only thing I noticed in like a quick scan of it is there is a sexual assault scene, which seemed to be standard for 70s films, that is more nudity. Just a lot more nudity than the Hong Kong version. And I went back and I watched the Hong Kong version, and you can see like it was chopped with a meat cleaver. But when I initially watched it, it didn't even occur to me. Then there may have been other things that were different, I don't know. And Shanghai, Shanghai, the international version is 93 minutes versus the Hong Kong version's 88 minutes. So there's more in there. Again, I did a quick fast forward through it. Nothing jumped out as being wildly different, so it must have been just little scene extensions here and there. Somebody better than me has broken it down for you on the internet. So I'll show you the package. We have a slipcase, nice looking new artwork there. It shows you images from the 3 films. This is region A and B, which means this will play in Europe and in North America. As I like to point out that some of these companies like 88 and Eureka here are UK-based companies, so they just put it for their own region. So we get representations of the posters. That's the paper marriage poster. That is the back. The discs are on these little flipper things. I was surprised when I saw that third disc. I didn't read the back of the package enough to see that it was international cut. So I'm like, okay, cool. It's 2 discs, 2 movies on 1 disc. The third movie's on the second. What's this other disc? And then, pardon me while I do this here, you can see the poster for Manchu Boxer there and Shanghai, Shanghai. It also comes with a little booklet featuring that artwork and some writing on the film. What do we have here? We have a cast list. We have a lot of nice stills from the film. We have The Big Boss on Sammo Hung by James Oliver. And we have, is there a second one? Pardon the top of my head while I look. Really nice photos in this too, by the way. I guess that's it. It's just one article in there and some notes about the transfer. This is a really good set. Maybe B-tier films for Sammo Hung, but we are so lucky to get stuff like this. Believe me, from the times when I was having to import CDs or go to Chinatowns to buy VCDs or hoping for the best or buying Tai Seng tapes where they would split it between 2 tapes and they were pan and scan and bad subtitles, those days are gone. We're getting excellent releases, including Triple Threat, 3 films with Sammo Hung, by Sammo Hung, featuring Sammo Hung, by Eureka Entertainment on Blu-ray.